The Mandalorian is finally here, so we're gonna break down the first episode and list the best Easter eggs.
So many Easter eggs, also so many spoilers. So if you haven't seen the show, what are you doing? Go check it out and come right back here. Get your butt right back here after.
Let's start with our initial thoughts and reactions. Rob, what did you think?
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it more on the second viewing, but I will say I was slightly underwhelmed, namely on just the main character, Mando, the Mandalorian. I think it's fair. It's a first episode. It's kicking off like the tone, and it has to do a lot of setup, obviously. Like I want to like that character a lot more, and as it stands, it's a talking helmet, to me at least. Like, granted, like I don't know, like it can go places, obviously. Like they had that kind of, in my opinion, slightly ham-fisted flashback, but that was it. Like aside from that flashback, we don't really know any kind of drive.
I agree, yeah. We don't know what motivates him. We don't really know anything about this main character, so why should we follow him?
Right. Aside from like credits, right?
Exactly,
like
he's motivated by money, but it didn't immediately hook me, but it hooked me about halfway through the episode. I started to feel more comfortable, and I feel like I might have overhyped myself.
Yeah.
That could have been an issue.
I totally agree. Like the trailers, which I watched like probably dozens,
trailers.
Really good trailers. Yeah. I felt surprised by the pacing, I guess, overall. But yeah, like I'm on board. I can't wait to see what's next.
Yeah, and that being said, it still feels like it fits perfectly in this universe. Yeah. I really like the landscapes, the atmosphere. It's more dangerous, and it focuses on places where people struggle a bit more, and I'm excited to see where this goes.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, let's talk about the plot and go through the major story beats. So we meet the Mandalorian as he gets in a fight and rescues and collects his bounty, Mithril, played by former SNL actor Horatio Sanz. Right off the bat, a dude gets cut in half in the first fight, setting the darker tone. We know that Mando is a skilled fighter and bounty hunter and a man of few words. He's later described as the best in the parsec.
Mando and Mithril escape the ice planet and attack from Ravenok, a new creature introduced into the show. We get to see Mando's ship, the Razor Crest, a pre-Empire gunship. Mando's got some bounties encased in carbonite, and Mithril joins his collection. As far as like the timeline goes of where I was getting hyped, was definitely that kind of. To me, it felt almost like a horror scene where it's this guy like rummaging in the bottom
of the ship.
The bottom of the ship, and he's just like sifting through some collection.
Some guns, cool.
And it's just
some bodies.
Yeah. And then the camera slightly pans a little bit, and then there he is, right behind him.
It just shoves him in.
Yeah, that was like, oh damn.
Then Mando meets with Greef Carga, played by the great Carl Weathers, who you might know from Rocky or Predator.
You son of a
to cash in on his bounties. Carga notes that he got the job done fast. Greef Carga tries to pay in Imperial credits. The Empire has fallen, and this exchange is basically here to establish that this show is post-Return of the Jedi. Carga ends up paying in calamari flan, which we assume is the currency of the Mon Calamari. Mando asks for new bounties, and Carga tells him of one job where he has to meet with the client face-to-face, someone with deep pockets.
Calamari flan, I wonder what that would taste like.
Sounds delicious. No.
Which leads Mando to a man we only know as the Client, played by German film director Werner Herzog. He's being guarded by stormtroopers and wears an Imperial medal. The Client offers Mando Beskar iron as payment, a rare ore from Mandalore. He promises more upon delivery of the asset. We also meet Dr. Pershing, who wants the asset delivered alive. The Client says, however, termination is also accepted for a lower fee. The case is very secretive. All he is given is a tracking fob, their age, and the last reported positional data.
So it was interesting. He wears his medal very proudly, but the stormtroopers look really beat up. This is like the state of the Empire. What do you think of that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's the last remnants, the last call to action. Like they're clearly in hiding, right? Like with a series of security doors and all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's also reflective of how timid they are in a way, right? Yeah, it's very interesting to see the Empire in this state.
Then Mando meets with a Mandalorian metalsmith to have the Beskar turned into armor, specifically a pauldron, which represents the wearer's rank or affiliation. The armorer says the excess will sponsor many foundlings, and Mando says he was once a foundling. Then we go through a montage of flashbacks of the Mandalorian's life. He has a seemingly painful past where he was separated from his parents during an attack on his homeworld. Note that his helmet is silver or gray, which indicates mourning the loss of a loved one.
Also worth noting is that, this was from the trailer too, they showed a shot of that, is that you can see a super battle droid in the background, as well as a droid starship flying over, indicating that whatever these events are, they're definitely around the Clone Wars. Mando meets Quill, played by Nick Nolte. Nick Nolte?
Yeah!
He tells him many have passed through seeing the same bounty, but they died. Quill volunteers to help him and show him the encampment, and teaches him how to ride a blurg.
Write a blog?
Write a blog.
Blurg. Got it.
Write a blurg, not a blog.
Then Mando teams up with the bounty droid IG-11, who's also there for the same bounty. So he's voiced by Taika Waititi, and he's kind of my personal favorite character so far.
I will initiate self-destruct.
Do not self-destruct! We're shooting our way out!
Oh, for sure. Every time he kept trying to kill himself. I think Mike Rizzo had a good line where he was like, IG-11 really wanted to die.
He really did.
He really did.
They battle mercenaries, and he goes along with Mando's plans.
Well done. I will disengage self-destruct initiative.
All right, now let's talk about that ending. Oh my goodness, the reveal.
In a way that felt like 38 minutes to that, right?
It all led up to that. So it's Yoda's species,
Right.
but a baby.
A 50-year-old baby.
50-year-old, yeah.
Right. Pretty interesting, right? Because 50-year-old baby means that it predates like Phantom Menace and all the Clone Wars, so this baby
So
has
you're
been
saying
around.
it could be Yaddle's baby?
It could be, right?
It could be
Yeah.
Yaddle's baby. It might be Yaddle. It looks like Yaddle.
And Yaddle is the same kind as
Same
Yoda,
species.
same species, and is also seen for a moment in Phantom Menace, right?
Yes.
Of the Jedi High Council.
IG-11 notes that not all alien species age the same way, and Yoda's species ages differently. When Yoda passed on in Return of the Jedi, he was 900 years old. Yoda's species hasn't been given an official name yet. So what do you think? Is there a chance that this baby is Force sensitive?
Yeah, because what's interesting is that Werner Herzog's character and Dr. Pershing want very much different things, right? He's clearly a scientist. He wants to probably study the specimen. Yoda is one of the most powerful Jedi ever, right? So this could be the same case here. A highly force-sensitive creature. Gotta study it, gotta dissect it. But from the flip side, I think you could say that Herzog's character just wants it dead. Doesn't want any kind of Jedi rebellion coming out of that, right?
Yeah.
Or at least a super powerful force being siding with the Jedi. So yeah, there's a lot going on. I think someone else also pointed out is that there were kind of different directives, right? IG-11 came in
Shoot to kill. Yeah.
shoot to kill, and something else was told to Mando, right?
Yeah.
There was an option to keep, or preferred to keep it alive, right?
So who told IG-11 to kill the
Right.
baby? It's messed up.
It is messed up. That was a damn cute little Yoda baby.
It was cute. Also, it did seem like Mando killed IG-11, but I'm pretty sure he's going to be back because he's in a lot of the marketing. He's got his own toys, he's got his own like Funko Pop and a cup, I think. And also, IG-88, there were like 4 of him, so
Sure.
I think he'll be back.
And then it'll be a revenge story where he's probably gonna want to hunt down and kill Mando, right?
I'm into that.
Yeah. That droid is freaking terrifying for what it's worth, right? Just
You
like
saw what
all
he
those
said-
moves, yeah.
You saw what he did with guns?
Yeah.
He's very good.
Okay, now it's time for Easter eggs. This isn't the entirety of all the Easter eggs we found. If you want more, go to GameSpot.com.
Yep, but here are our favorites. The thugs in the opening bar scene are speaking Huttese. The ferryman whom Mando asks for passage to the yards is of the Kubaz species, as first seen in A New Hope. He speaks Kubazian, which sounds like whirring sounds. The first vehicle to show up is a land speeder with an R2 unit.
Comedian Brian Posen plays the ice ferry driver who gets killed by the Ravenok. Mythrol mentions Life Day, which originated in the Star Wars Holiday Special. It's a Wookiee holiday celebrated every 3 years. They did it. They made the holiday special canon. Oh
It's
my
canon!
God. Oh my God. The Mandalorian's bounties are frozen in carbonite, which of course was seen in Empire Strikes Back.
Throughout the episode, you can see a lot of familiar wipe transitions, as is tradition in the films. In this scene, you can see an R5 droid that reminds us of R5-D4, the droid with the bad motivator in A New Hope. In the cantina, you can see some Transdoshans, like my boy Bosk.
You can see aliens playing the card game Sabacc in the cantina, possibly the variant Corellian Spike, seen in Solo. The client offers a Camtono of Beskar to Mando. Camtono is a small safe, as seen carried by Wilro Hood, the guy running across Cloud City with what looks to be an ice cream maker in Empire. In real life, the prop model is of an ice cream maker. Jon Favreau teased the connection on Instagram last year.
In the streets, we see a Kowakian monkey lizard being barbecued, and one very much alive watching it happen. When Mando meets the client, he's led to him by a Gonk droid. And before he gets in, he's confronted by a gatekeeper droid, aka TT-8LY7, first seen in Return of the Jedi.
There's a callback to A New Hope, when Luke was using his binoculars and sand people jumped out and attacked him. Mando has a flamethrower, just like Boba Fett, his big brother. That's not true.
They're not brothers.
They're not brothers. We see Rhodians. One was in carbonite on board the Razor Crest, and you can see a pink one in the cantina.
A Mandalorian that has a very similar helmet to Boba Fett appears in the background on the right side before he meets the metalsmith, but he's likely just a guard, as a green Mandalore helmet means duty. The creature that attacks the Mandalorian that he learns to ride is a blurg previously seen in the Clone Wars. Finally, let's talk about the best moments. So I like that moment where he stands off with the stormtroopers and they're like, this is 4-1. He's like, I like those odds. I'm like, ooh, you're
badass.
Spicy.
Yeah, that was definitely badass.
How about you?
I am a huge sucker for Star Wars spaceships, and one of the, I guess, teasers of this whole thing was that Jon Favreau went crazy and actually brought back like real models. And there's some really cool behind the scenes.
So many practical effects. Loved it.
Yeah, like cameras sweeping by a stationary model. It's really cool and true to like the original trilogy. So it's nice to see that return, and it pays off because you can straight up see it. Like, obviously you don't just ship it as is. It's touched up with some CGI, but that's the best way to do it, right? Like Jurassic Park was the same way. Like when you have that mix of practical special effects and CG, it's like the way to go, and it totally pays off, and you can see it. So pretty much any moment, whether like I think there's the definitely noteworthy was like I think when the ship is landing on that desert planet. We don't really know the names of these planets, unfortunately. I feel like, but that is just such a cool shot, and I love that stuff.
Also, I really love that final shot where the Mandalorian and the babies just start reaching out with their fingers. It shows a very softer side to him.
E.T. phone home. Yeah, it's gonna. I mean, that very much is just gonna pave what you can imagine the season or the whole series, right? Is like whether or not Mando turns in Yoda, baby Yoda,
Protects Yoda, probably.
Right. Probably, and then we get to see a little bit of his inner beauty along the way. It's gonna be a journey.
All right, that wraps up episode 1 of The Mandalorian. Do you like these breakdowns? Do you want more of them? Do you want us to do them? Please let us know in the comments below.
And if you like this one, feel free to share with your friends and loved ones, and we'll hopefully see you next week.
Yeah.